All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the platform and core update today. My name is Balazs, and I'm going to host this event. We are planning this session for 1 hour. We have 5 teams today as the core team joined to this update to give you fresh information on the current status, the current update, what we have on the development side. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise it in the chat below. If you have any feedback to give us, that's also you can do that here. Please smash the like button also if you enjoy the show. And let's start with the first team, which is Tenderdash. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Łukasz and I'm from the Tenderdash team, and we are working on stabilization of the Tenderdash source code. Right now we have 2 parallel efforts. First one is working on version 0.10 and 0.11, which that will become version 1.0 soon. And here we are just doing some minor fixes, stabilization and integration with Drive and stuff like that. So basically the goal here is to improve what we already have. We avoid doing major changes here if possible. And that the version 0.10 and 0.11 differ only in one thing. Basically the 0.11 is using the new BLS library to create signatures, and that differs with the key format, and it's some dependency on other platform elements that need to be integrated together. So until we get all teams ready for the new BLS library, we will work on version 0.10. And that's what goes to our devnets. Once we have BLS ready, we will go to 0.11. And basically, this is more or less what will become version 1.0 release candidate, or whatever we will name that version. And second effort is to stabilize consensus. And in that has some deadlock conditions, and it's more general refactoring, and that introduces some risk. So we decided it will go into version 1.0. And here we have 3 PRs open on which we will work. So we refactor the peer gossip mechanism, voting mechanism, and the general consensus state in order to get that fixed. So that's more or less where we are. I will not go into details. And what's left for the testing phase? So we are stabilizing, so that's an ongoing effort. We get some feedback from both the platform team and from our own testing, and fix stuff and improve. And second thing is the vote extensions adjustment that will be used for withdrawal transactions. This is also a task that needs to be synced with the platform. So whenever we are ready to do it together, we will just deliver that. And one thing that is not mentioned here is that BLS library, where we are also waiting for integration. But on our side, we consider it done, as it's already, there is also a pre-release that is 0.11 that contains that library update. And that's more or less it. So we are almost ready for the testing phase, and we are working on future versions right now. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Łukasz. Let's move on to Grovedb.
Yes, and I will be giving updates on Grovedb today, because Wisdom is sleeping after pulling what I would say is a crazy amount of work. We basically really we had a feature come up that was necessary for Identity v2, It came up sometimes mid last week, and it was pretty intense to say the least. Not on this page, but on the following one. But I'll talk about this stuff first. And yeah, but we really wanted to not make that into a big deal. So we really wanted to get it done as soon as possible, and so like that move forward. About a sprint ago, we were still kind of working on the path query merging. Path query merging was the feature where you can ask for any item and then another item in the database in Grovedb, and you can prove both items even if they're in various different places in the tree, and you can merge the proofs together, and then you can disassociate the proofs. So and create intersections between proofs, and like really just pretty advanced features that we originally had not planned on doing, but that were proven to be necessary for Identity V2. So with that, let's go on to the next slide. Some new features came up that were needed, and this is where things got a little bit difficult. The first two were more easy. Basically, when you're proving, in our case, for Identity V2, the identity information is actually spread on multiple nodes. So you have the balance somewhere here, you have the keys of the identity somewhere else, you have you have various parts, and you have to all prove it together. To actually know what you got back, well, it comes back with a path, the Grovedb path. So then you verify the path versus the path query, and you verify that they match what you're expecting. So that's all done. Optionals, for example, for non-existence proofs, like if you query something, you want to also know that it doesn't, you want to prove that it doesn't exist. We had that for some reason it had been removed or something, but because we hadn't seemed to need it, but then we re-added it. So that was not a very big one. Now the partial proof verification, that's where things became very difficult. Basically, the proof system in Grovedb used something that we're calling slim proofs. They were the smallest proof possible, matching your path query. This did not allow for subset proofs, like verification of subsets on the proofs. You were not actually able to reconstruct the proof map. But that was something that we needed to do. And we needed to do it for a feature that's used in DashPay and actually in Platform, where you can get your identity by the public key hash of one of the keys of the identity. And this is kind of used because, for example, when you have, when you restore your wallet and you restore everything on your mobile device from a seed phrase, it actually generates a lot of keys. And one of those keys is actually going to be your identity key. And you actually need to know if you already have an identity or multiple identities to load them into the wallet. So you need to be able to actually query keys to have a map from your identity public key hashes to your actual identity. And you kind of want to get that all back in one proof. So when you say what is the identity for this public key hash, you get the identity ID from part of the proof, and then from that identity ID, you can get the rest of the identity information. So you actually get proofs that have multiple items that you need to verify as subsets. Anyways, that's kind of done. And today, you can see by how tired I am, it was integrated. Everything works. It feels amazing. And I'll continue talking about that when we get to protocol, which is now. But
all right, Javid, would you kick us?
Yeah.
Would you kick us off with the withdrawals?
Hey, hello everyone. So withdrawals. We finally had our, hopefully, final set of reviews, since two of our major big bosses, developers, have had free time to review it finally. And now I'm fixing it, and hopefully this would be the last fix in the withdrawals, and we'll be able to merge it finally. So
yes,
that's it. Who's next?
I guess back to me to talk about
Exactly.
the other protocols. Basically, he's talking about me and Ivan, who were both extremely busy on Identity V2 and other things. And basically, we spent more time on that. But we got around to reviewing withdrawals. So now we just need a few fixes there before we can merge that in. So Identity V2, everything is passing now, which is amazing. Like everything is green. The reason why we don't have this marked as in review and instead we have it in progress is because the integration into the JavaScript code that we are actually not going to use anymore soon isn't working. So we're verifying why that is. I would like to note, though, that we got this working about 2 hours ago. So there was just a few red lines that could indicate something wrong but doubtful in the JavaScript code. So we have to investigate it, and it would be a little bit wrong to say that it's in review before it actually is in review. But on the Rust side, everything is passing. Getting multiple identities by public key hashes is working, which was actually the hardest part. All the features are working, and it was a big ticket item. The pull request is, I think, at 16,000 lines of code now. So we're hopefully going to be able to merge that in tomorrow, or whenever somebody can finish reviewing it, hopefully this week. The total credit balance verification, this is the sum tree stuff. It is also in the same pull request because it was just too hard to decouple. But yeah, that's working, everything green. The calculate expected total credits amount. To remember what this is. Ivan, I'm tired. Help me. Which one is this?
Yeah, I guess basically the work that we did on the refunds and stuff to make sure that all the pools and all identity balances has the same balance, and the verification function is green, basically, right?
Yeah, so we had a big we had a big issue with refunds. So refunds, when you pay for something in platform, you can then get your balance refunded, but refunds go to a different section that then eventually get you get your credits back immediately, and then there's it's put against an amount that's going to be withdrawn from the pools in the future, but with some trees, we know that the amount of credits is actually there at all time. So that's done, and it's verified. We actually also created a testing system where we can create, hundreds of identities, hundreds of documents, actually thousands, if not more than that, and we can just create simulations of all this, and all the simulations are passing. So, even very crazy, complicated situations like insert 10 documents, delete 5 documents, insert 10 documents, delete, with like hundreds of different identities, just simulating actual usage. The credits of the system always flat, there's nothing that leaves, nothing that gets created, completely inflationary, bug proof. So I'm really looking forward to that, for that going to testing, because I hope somebody in the community will try their hardest to break it. Yeah, the next one, efficient data serialization. We keep this in here, but no work was done in the last sprint. This is just to say, well, we have a lot in efficient data serialization, but it's not yet the moment for it, because we have to pretty much wait for DPP to be integrated, the Rust DPP to be integrated, before we can advance on this. We do have a lot of the methods already written, bin code serialization and many others inside the code. We actually have multiple ways of serializing in DPP. We just need to get around to finishing that. Refactor DPP document types. Okay, so this is something that I worked on pretty much this weekend, because I was blocked on the Grovedb work, where Wisdom needed to improve something. So this was something that I had been wanting to do for a little bit of time, and since there was nothing critical that I could actually work on, this seemed like a good thing to basically improve the code quality. How to explain it? Document types. You have to kind of understand how the project was originally structured. You had RS Drive and RS DPP that were different projects, and RS Drive had a little bit of DPP logic in it. DPP had a little bit of RS Drive logic in it. There was a little bit of overlap between the two. When we merged them together, we moved some of this overlap into RS DPP, but some of it just wasn't. I mean, it was done pretty quickly, so we needed to make that a little bit better. So that is actually also almost done, in the sense that it's now compiles. There are about 10 errors there, so I'm also hoping that that gets merged in the next day or two. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, it's my part. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So let's talk about the next protocol tasks. So the first one is support to core version 19. It's still in progress. As Lukáš already mentioned, the biggest change was that we need to use updated BLS library, and we're still working on it. And when it's done, we will the implementation will be ready, I guess. The next one, create self-contained dust-made package. So we would love to have a executable package which can be easily installed by user in one click, and after that he would have Dashmate installed on his local machine, so he won't need to install Node.js and other stuff, just one executable file which just works. A beside context logger, this is what we mentioned previously. It was just refactoring of our logger for better debugging and more, and just to have the actual information in logs that we need. So the last time it was in progress, and right now it's done. DPP should not allow using existing property in new index. So this is just a restriction for data contract. Let's say we have data contracts and we decided to update it. And if we want to add a new index, we are not allowed to use old fields in that new index. This is because of probable performance issues.
I mean, it is because otherwise you need to re-index all the previous documents which already exist in a drive, which is not visible.
Yeah, which could be a really heavy operation. Next one, use single HTTP port for DAPI endpoints. So right now we use two ports in DAPI. One port is for gRPC native connections, and another one is used for JSON RPC connections and gRPC web, which is used in browsers. And actually, there is no reason to have two ports because it's possible to keep only one port and everything will work through this single port. Yeah, and that's what we have right now. And the last one, log number of refunded epochs in drive. We just added additional debug information into our logs. So number of refunded epochs. And I guess that's it.
All right, thank you. Sam, would you take?
Yeah, I can take this. So we are making progress on what's left. Obviously, there are some things in there that kind of creeped in that we had just not planned at the beginning. As time goes by, we are doing our best to reduce this list. So what do we have? Accomplish and test withdrawals. As soon as we have identity v2 merged in, we're going to, that withdrawals is like really the next big thing that we are going to finish. Like it's in review. We just need to, merge it. And and like David said, he's going to have the fixes soon. It's not done, but it's in review. Yeah, what's new? We had 2 lines. So the 2 that are in review, they're so close to being done that I did cross them out. There's no code that is planned to be written there anymore. And it already has had 1 review. The problem is that it's part of the greater pull request on identity v2. So it's just not merged in yet. The verify fee processing costs. Actually, that is something that I'm a little bit worried. That's been in there for a while. Ivan, is this like the check to see that we're not making a mistake on like they're just too small or too high? Do you remember if that's what this is?
Yeah, it's also related to to estimated fees to dry run, because some of this logic is still disabled since the first I would say, like the first stage of implementation of the fees. So we just need to come back to it and make sure that everything is correct.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea if there's a lot of work or a little work here. I don't think there's much.
It's not. It's not.
I don't think so. We will, during our testing phase, verify that there is not a tax because some processing costs are too low. That's where the work is going to be, in my opinion. But I don't see what's left to do before testing phase. But I guess there might be just like some little verification here or there. So asset lock and unlock transactions integration. That's true. There's the in DPP, there's the new type of asset lock and unlock transactions to integrate. The BLS library Rust binding, I keep on saying this every week. I don't know what's left there. So somebody else might be able to say it, but I think we've said exactly the same thing every time. Masternode block reward distribution. Yes, there's some work there. In the that's probably, well, actually no, because in Identity v2, the method now exists for Masternode block reward distribution as well. I forgot about that. I wrote that in. So, oh, but there is some work. There is some work. Never mind. We have to write the other side of the equation. Okay, so as people can see, there's still some stuff to do, but we're making progress. Let's go on to the Rust port.
Let's go.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Anton's here. And I'm going to give you a quick update on what we were up to the previous sprint for the Rust update. So for the previous sprint, our main goal was the extensive testing of what we did before, namely data contracts and document batch transitions, since they are in itself like the code. I think by now is finished. We just testing them. And for testing data contract, we about 90% finished. There is like one pull request that's still open with tests. I think two small pull requests are still open, but majority of them were merged during this sprint. We also worked on identity transitions. That's the area that wasn't coded before. And actually today we've merged identity create transitions and asset lock proofs for them. Update transition is currently, all code is written and it's currently in the review. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yep, thank you. Oops. So it looks like some line got
Never mind.
deleted. All right, whatever. Yeah, so we have several priorities for this sprint. That's the number one thing that we're going to do right away is finish all the remainder of tests for document transitions and data contract. Then also we have a small problem with the asynchronous I/O for the stage repository. Stage repository was a thing that we worked in a long while. It's a bit hard to implement something. So I'll give a little bit of context. What's the stage repository is and what the main challenge with it is. So stage repository is a way the DPP can query the data from outside sources to perform different verifications and validations. The challenge with the stage repository is that it makes requests to the network, to the disk, to RAM. It does input-output operations, and input-output operations mostly asynchronous in their nature. And creating a cross-language boundary for different integrations that works well is a bit of a challenge with asynchronous code if we don't want to block the main thread, which is an important thing if you want to keep our service very responsive. And we found today a solution to make this finally work exactly as we wanted. The thing is that we just haven't merged this solution yet. We haven't worked at it at all, actually. We've just, while working on the different stuff, identity state transitions, we've uncovered the proper way to make this work well with cross-language boundary. And afterwards, when all those problems are fixed, we gonna start integrating previous work that was done on identities into Grovedb. And so after all this tests for data contracts and batch transitions and all that is finished, finally, we actually gonna start trying to make platform test suite works. Platform test suite is our last thing that we need to do. We need to use WASM DPP in our backend services. And platform test suite is something that ensures fully that network fully works. It's a sort of a black box test that just bootstraps a local network and checks that everything works together.
Can you, I'm just gonna say something, because when you say we have to do platform test suite, we don't need to do platform test suite. Platform test suite is written.
We need to make it work with the WASM DPP.
Yep.
Because right now the backend services still use JavaScript DPP, and we try to recreate the exactly same interface with the WASM DPP. But it has minor differences. So we expect some of the tests in the platform test suite not working right away, and that is our final kind of destination. I would say a final thing that we need to
destination.
do. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a bit wrong wording, but anyway. One thing I think I didn't mention is that somewhere between those things, we also need to backport changes that were made to make V24 work. I mean, platform V24. We have a small, it's a little bit divergent from from V24, diverge a little bit from what we're doing right now. And there's some work needs to be done to update it. We've done some things while we were working on some of the tasks previously, on some of the tests for data contracts and stuff like that. But there are still some things left that needs to be done. So that is our planned work for the next sprint. And thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Anton. And now move on to the core team.
Yay!
Yay!
Welcome,
Welcome.
Who's this guy?
Welcome, guys.
Who is this, guys?
Oh, hello, guys from core team. Before going to the V19 development status, we want to spend some time describing the some incidents on the 18 family versions during this January. So we had a problem 3 days after the release of 18.2. Basically, there was a bug in the complex rotation member calculation implemented in V18, and the bug just appeared when several masternodes on mainnet spent their collateral, so they were removed from the list, and this resulted into mismatches into the actual quorum members, and this was leading to a fork in the block containing the final commitment. So in our we were bad. We had bad luck, but also good luck, because this thing was noticed quite fast, and we only got down about 5% of the masternodes into the network, and we just removed the 18.2 from the download pages and etc. And we just we told people, okay, guys, just downgrade back to 18.1, and this allows you to continue syncing with the chain. And then we had another incident, Pasta.
Yes. So the next thing that happened pretty soon after, really only 2 days after, it looks like, was what appeared to be an amplification attack against the network, exploiting a bug in how we relay QF commitments. And that bug probably has been in Dash since the code was introduced in probably version 14. But someone apparently noticed it, and basically someone was able to repropagate old but valid QF commitments, and we were not properly ignoring old commitments, and so we were revalidating them and then sending them out to our peers. And so someone was able to send us, one message, and then we would send out, 8 or 20 or 250, depending on how many peers we had connected. And so that attacker was able to use very little bandwidth on themselves, but cause a lot of traffic and congestion across the network. It's very hard with something like this to say definitively whether it was an attack or not. It could have been some buggy implementation from someone. It could have been just some weird bug that just kind of spontaneously happened. But it seems very likely to me that this was intentional. And so we released 18.1.1, I believe, or maybe 18.1.2. And that version fixed this QF commitment relay issue. And virtually, if I remember correctly, virtually immediately after we released this version, all of the messages stopped bouncing around the network, which wouldn't be what we would expect if it was some kind of bug or something that was going to just continue until everyone upgraded. It seemed that as soon as we released the version, the person behind it kind of realized, well, this didn't really work out. Chain locks still remained quite functional, and the network upgraded very quickly, and everything regained full functionality quite quickly. So, both of these issues are things that we don't want to happen, but obviously, and we're very careful with our review and testing to try and identify any kind of issues like this. But, stuff is always going to happen, and I'm really happy with, I was not really super present with the 18.2 incident, but I'm very proud with the entire team of how quickly we were able to respond to both of these issues, identify the root cause, and take action that resulted in the resolution of the issue on both fronts. So very glad about that. So we have also released 18.2.1. That includes all of the kind of backport changes and hundreds of commits that went into 18.2 compared to 18.1. And does not have the bug that caused the 18.2.0 issue. So we would generally recommend upgrading to 18.2.1. It's not a huge deal. It is nice for us to be able to kind of have these backport changes in production and have them get tested and stuff. But feel free to upgrade to it, but you don't really have to. Yeah, 18.2.1. The only reason that you would need 18.2.1 is if you want to sync mainnet and testnet. In 18.2, we fixed an issue on testnet, the same issue actually that ended up causing the mainnet fork. And as such, 18.2.1 properly uses the new logic on testnet, and in a future version, in a future hard fork, will utilize the new logic on mainnet as well. Yeah, 18.2.1, make sure to use that if you are trying to sync testnet. And I think we are good to move forward, and I'm gonna pass it back to Odie to talk about BLS.
So, what are we expecting from V19, which is, as you may guess, hard fork again. This hard fork activates all the features at once. So the first one, we are upgrading the used BLS scheme. The motivation behind this change is basically we want to be aligned with standardizations and aligned with the general crypto community. This change affects obviously all the BLS operations and all the BLS objects. So first of all, it's the moment the fork activates, it enforces the new BLS scheme.
So Odysseus, very quickly, not everybody might know what BLS means.
Okay. BLS is the cryptography used for aggregated signatures. So mainly
threshold recovered.
Yes. So this is the, let's say, the math behind the masternode works. So how quorums are created, how they sign, and how a threshold signature is achieved and propagated to the network. Is the description accurate, Sam?
Good enough. I'll let it slide.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that as the moment the fork activates, then all masternodes will produce and process BLS object using the new scheme. One thing that is maybe not really important, but it's important enough to say it. When you send a BLS object using the previous scheme called legacy, the same BLS object in the new scheme doesn't change in memory. The only change is in the way you serialize it into the network. So that means that we need also to be backward compatible. So all the mined object, by mined I mean object that you can find on chain, need to be versioned. So the commitments from the quorums and all the ProTX family transactions. Basically, why we version those objects is to indicate which BLS scheme to use in order to unserialize them and able to decode them correctly. By ProTX family, I mean registration of masternodes, update of masternodes, etc. So basically, if you think about it, all the transactions on the chain that contain at least one BLS, public key or BLS signature. We also did exactly the same logic with some P2P messages that are requested by SPV clients, for example, the masternode list diff. And beside that, all the affected messages that are not mined into the chain are using the new BLS scheme once the fork is active. For example, the chain locks, signatures, instant send, all those kind of stuff. From the moment the fork is active, they are serialized using the new scheme. So this is done. This is merged. We have a DevNet running this code at the moment, so that all the teams can start working on this and be prepared for that. Another thing that will be included in V19 is, as you may already know, the high performance masternode using the 4000 collateral. So basically, we will have a new masternode type, a new Pro TX RPC as well, enable us to register a masternode. So this new high performance masternode will be used to form the new LLMQ type. Well, I forgot to add into the slide for mainnet. It's going to be the 167 sum, I think. So basically, this LLMQ will.
Well, I mean, 67 out of 100. When you say 167, people might be a little bit worried.
Yeah, sorry. This particular LLMQ will be formed only by high performance masternodes. So this is the first change into the logic. But the other way around isn't.
And yes. LLMQ is long living masternode quorum. A lot of people don't know these terminologies.
Yeah. Okay. Good to remember that. But a high performance masternode will continue to provide work for a regular masternode. For example, it will still continue to participate into the chain lock signatures, instant send as well as usual. But in addition, it will be used to form the platform one. We also have a new change as well in the masternode payment algorithm. So for the period of the moment V19 is active until V20 activation, we will change a bit the payment process of masternodes. So we will reward owners of high performance masternodes with basically 4 payments in a row when they are selected. It makes sense since the collateral are 4 times higher. Same logic for the governance votes. You would, sorry, when you are a high performance masternodes and you vote for a governance object, you get 4 votes. So
known as a proposal. Governance object.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking about code, but yeah. All right, so all those things are already implemented and basically tested. We why this thing isn't done yet, because we are about to include some new fields into the masternode description. Those fields are basically fields useful only for platform. So from core perspective, it's going to be we're going to be just proxy for that. So we are in the process of finishing this development very soon, and finally merging this. One thing also to keep in mind that registration of masternode of high performance masternode isn't allowed before the V19. And also a final thing that's going to be part of V19 is asset lock. So Basta.
Yeah, thanks. So I do want to reiterate one thing here. Everything on this sheet, besides the in progress item, include new platform related fields in SML. Everything else on here is currently on a DevNet. And so mobile has tested against the HPMN and the, well, not HPMN, but against the BLS implementation, and the other teams are testing against these implementations, and we're testing them right now. And everything looks good so far. So when it comes to asset locks, I'll briefly describe that. Basically, it's how you move money over to platform. You create an asset lock transaction that basically locks funds on the core chain, and then platform is able to see that you locked those funds. They give you credits for those funds that you locked, and then in the future, someone can redeem those credits for the dash that was locked on core. So it's, you know, it's relatively simple conceptually. There's not too much interesting stuff going on there conceptually, at least from a high level. And like everything else on this, the implementation is done. It is technically still in review, but it is deployed on DevNet Mojito, and we it's practically done, but it's not merged. So we didn't want to mark it as done, but it is deployed and being tested against, just as everything else here, really, besides the new fields in SML, which should be quite easy to implement.
SML, what is SML? We need to say these terms.
Simplified masternode list. I think I said it earlier.
Oh, you
So,
did?
I think so. Maybe I didn't.
I'll believe you.
Maybe I just said masternode list or something.
Just so people know, the simplified masternode list is the list that's given back as proof to like clients. Like clients can verify masternodes through basically the simplified masternode list that has the hash of the root of a binary tree structure in the Coinbase. A lot of 2018 stuff right there.
Merci. Okay, well, coming up, the big thing that we're moving towards is the V19 release candidate. The biggest limiting factor on when we're going to do that is really just wrapping up the new fields in the SML, a little bit more testing on the DevNet Mojito, and you know, I don't want to give a firm date or anything, but I do really want to get this out in the pretty immediate future. So that's the plan there. We are decently on track for a good release window between version 18 and version 19. And I would really like to hit that. We'll see what we can do. But version 19 will be coming out, a release candidate, at some point in the relatively near-ish, maybe future. Otherwise, we might be releasing in 18.2.2. There are a couple of minor fixes I know some people, myself included, have been dealing with a crash on close on Mac OS that was introduced by Mac OS 13. They changed some logic about some signals that they send applications when you close an application, and that was causing basically trying to access memory that was already freed, and so the application was crashing on close. Not a big deal at all. It was only in like the Qt logic, which is just the GUI front end. Not really like anything concerning. It didn't require a reindex or anything. You just start the node the next time you want it. It was just annoying because it would pop up every time and say, dash Qt had an issue. Do you want to report it? Or whatever it says. So I ended up figuring that out. And we fixed that recently, as well as a couple of people have had issues with transactions not properly sending. You know, there might have been some glitch in the matrix, or maybe their network connectivity dropped out for a second, or something weird happened. And for some reason, they sent a transaction, but it didn't actually propagate. Bitcoin Core changed logic a little bit ago to remove the hidden RPC that manually would resend wallet transactions, arguing that it was a privacy risk. And there's some validity to that. Bitcoin instead implemented automatic resending, averaging about 24 hours. In Bitcoin, that might make sense. You know, your transactions might take a little while to confirm. 24 hours is nowhere near acceptable in Dash, even though that is a very rare instance. It really shouldn't happen hardly ever, but sometimes, you know, something weird will happen there. And so that time was reduced down to an average of about 2 hours. So, you know, there are a couple of bug fixes and just kind of small things like that that we might bundle together and do an 18.2.2 just to get those out there. Currently, I'm not really planning on doing an 18.2.2, but it's possible. And we'll see. There might be a couple of other things that come up to bundle in there, or maybe some people in the community will complain to me about one of these issues, and I'll decide to release it anyway. And I do want to, you know, iterate that there is a lot of stuff here that we work on that doesn't get talked about at all on these, because it just really is not interesting. There's a lot of maintenance and backports that get worked on behind the scenes. And you can, you know, if you're interested in those kind of things, you can message me on Discord or wherever, or look at the GitHub and you can see kind of that activity. But, you know, it really wouldn't be interesting for me to, you know, go through the, you know, 13 backports that were in the pull request I created yesterday, or, you know, Kitty Whiskers, like 5 different pull requests with probably like 100 different backports open right now. You know, it just really wouldn't be interesting. So we are excluding a lot of that kind of information, but I do want to call out that it exists. And that is a lot of what we do, and it is very valuable, but not very interesting. So yeah, that's about it for core. I think now we're moving on to questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm going to preemptively answer one question that I have no idea what the questions are yet, but I do want to just mention that for people that don't know, V19 pretty much has all the features that are needed for platform on Core's side. The reason originally we had planned on releasing V19 at the same time as platform activation, but we in the past, V18 potentially, pushed things back when they didn't really need to get pushed back. And at this point, it will be much cleaner to have a V19 released and have a V19. Sorry, Odysseus, you want to share it to the group?
Basically, he's blaming me more.
No, not at all. Not at all. You did a great job. In the end, we got it. It took some time, but you know, I'll blame everybody equally. No, in the end we got V18.
Odie, if it's any consolation, I place the blame fully on Sam's shoulders.
Oh, great. It actually probably is me, because very originally, right, we wanted to release 18 without rotation, and I pushed for having rotation in there. That was a big early CTO mistake. But yes, yeah, V19, not really making that mistake again, and we will be releasing it as soon as possible. And inside V19, we also there was this part that was maybe skipped over, or it was talked about, but maybe not accentuated enough, where we said, we're going to have 4 payments back to back for the HPMNs. This is actually to create a smooth transition. So in V19, we expect over the course of V19, which is actually not going to be a very long release, because we don't have anything essential for V20 really, except platform activation. I mean, we'll I'm sure we'll have stuff in there by the time platform activates, but as far as I know, there's nothing that's essential for platform activation past V19. Pasta or Odysseus, am I saying anything incorrect?
I can't think of anything that would refute you at this moment.
Okay. That's on you. Figure it out quickly. But,
shall we go with the questions?
Yeah, let's go with the questions.
All right, we have 3 or 4 questions. If I missed something, please double check me. So the first question is there any anticipated resolve for the HTTPS via HTTP error, or should it be handled on the back end?
Ivan Kostya?
Ivan Kostya.
Are they here?
Ivan? I have no idea. I have no idea what it's about. So,
HTTPS via HTTP error.
I mean, I really don't understand the context. Is it like related somehow to DAPI, or? Question, do you have any idea?
Who asked the question?
Yeah, seems we need a little bit more context here.
Who asked the question?
I guess.
Yeah, TL.
Who asked this question?
Please, TL.
If it was incubator, that would
via DAPI. Via DAPI.
So I'm guessing like it's the HTTPS. They're getting an error message because it's not HTTPS, right? On browsers.
Oh, it's valid. I think this work is done on our side right now.
Kostya, can you confirm?
Yeah.
All right. So that it should be done. And on which version?
24.
24. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Can you provide, maybe I ask these 2 questions together, right? Can you provide a realistic timeline for when mainnet release might be achieved? And also, is there any estimation of how much time testing phase can take? I bundle it up, give it to Sam.
Oh, basically the when Evo question.
Yes, and we have that too. So 3 questions at once.
We have the when.
Easy question.
Well, it's hard to say because as we can see, I thought we would be in testing phase by now, even like 3 weeks ago. The last parts are the hardest. We realized that we needed an extra feature in Grovedb. That was actually 2 extra features in the last month. Those were extremely painful. Those are done now. Don't think we're going to need any more features because there's no more drive work even RS drive work. Is there any more RS drive work, Ivan? Keep me, I mean, I want people to keep me honest here. I don't think there is. It's all DPP after Identity V2 is merged, right?
I think so. I mean, if you want, I guess the drive in overall will be finished, and the only part which will be missed is the accomplishment of the withdrawals when we have DPP, right?
Oh, that's true. The withdrawals needs to, but that's also in review.
No. I mean the last part of the withdrawals when Rust DPP is merged, withdrawals needs to be accomplished. It's like the last part of them.
Touch, yes, the final touch. Oh, we also have the no, we have that in DP. We have that in Drive. So RS Drive is pretty much nearing completion. We have to merge some stuff.
Rewards probably will go to the RS Drive soon.
No, that's not in RS Drive. That's in RS Drive ABCI, right? That's in the execution phase.
We are getting into the
weeds. I mean, we do have estimates, but I'm trying to speak through so people on the other end can also hear what's left. The ABCI part is for block rewards, but that's not major. I don't see much. I think that the biggest work left is on DPP side at this point. Once we get the final things merged in for Drive, so hopefully in 2 weeks from now, you will hear us saying that there's pretty much no work left on Drive side. And there's no work left on Grovedb side. Tenderdash has been ready for us. So we're all going to, go in, like everybody left is going into DPP to get that as soon as possible. I think that's going to be the biggest items of the next sprint or two. And I don't want to say that it's going to happen in the next sprint because seeing how we have been slower than expected, it seems unrealistic that we'll be in testing phase in 2 weeks from now. But I just don't see much work at this point. But it is true that some things might creep up, right?
Yeah, and also, do you have anything you would like to share on the estimation of how much time the testing phase can take?
Oh yeah. So if I had to guess at this point, putting more conservative estimates than I've have done previously, I would say we enter testing phase in 3 weeks. And this is much more conservative than I was before, I feel like, because I said 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, right? No, I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. I'm not sure if I actually said it out loud. That's what I thought. And the testing phase, so the testing phase is actually kind of already started to some extent. Some of the methods that I was planning on doing in the testing phase kind of got written, like, for example, the strategy tests. Now we have like tons of strategy tests that we didn't have before. So that is good. the testing phase will probably be 2 months. I still think that it won't go faster than 2 months.
All right. Next question. Is BIP 143 signature covers value still on the roadmap? Will it make V19? After some thinking, I think this is actually a prerequisite if there's to be any hope of supporting hardware signing for crowd node staking.
Core?
So can I ask who asked this question first?
Great Wolf.
Okay. I don't believe that it is necessary for. Can you repeat the end of the question about the crowd node?
Yeah, I think it's actually a prerequisite if there's to be any hope of supporting hardware signing for crowd node staking.
So I would think he's referring to CrowdNode's relatively new trustless masternode stuff. I might have to talk with the CrowdNode people and see what their process is. But I know that I have. I know that you can participate in a trustlessly shared masternode from a hardware wallet. So it might just be that they don't have documentation for that yet, but I don't believe that this implementation is necessary for being able to participate in a trustlessly shared masternode from a Trezor or something like that. So BIP 143, I believe I've read it before, but I'm not super familiar. I really wish, BIPs were more commonly referred to by their like actual name or something. And
143
had better names. It's transaction signature verification for version 0 witness program. But that's not like super clear to me. I think it's basically signing the value of outputs as well. I would have to look at it more to be sure. That is not strictly on the V19 roadmap. There are other things that we were working on. I believe this is one of those things that we are not opposed to. I don't believe there is anything in here that we are opposed to. But it is not a super high priority for us to implement. So if someone else wants to implement it, we would spend time reviewing it and testing it, but I don't think we have any intention at this point to implement it in V19.
Thank you very much. So the next question is from...
feel free to reach out to me on Discord or something if you have any follow-up on that.
Thank you, Pastor. The next question is from Quizzy Quiz. Is trustless masternode shares still planned for Dashcore V20? As I mentioned before, does Dashcore V20 mainly consist of final MN reward logic credits for high-performance masternodes?
Yeah, so the scope and timeline of V20 will depend on the timeline of platform release. Depending on how much time core has, we might end up including or excluding more things. The required features in V20 are very short. It's really just the final activation and the masternode block reward. Well, what did we call it? Masternode reward location reallocation or something like that. Basically, diverting some of the masternode rewards into platform to pay the high performance masternodes properly. So that's really the only feature that is necessary for V20.
I had forgotten about that one. Thanks, Pasta.
Anything else that we do is kind of a bonus. And so if we have time, shared masternodes, a like more robust, more kind of a easier, better setup for shared masternodes is on our long-term roadmap, but it's not necessarily something that we are committing to in V20 or any specific version at this point. But it
work has started on it. Just, I mean, so we can, I mean, we have started work on it. Right? I'm not lying there, am I?
We definitely have conceptual work done on it. I don't know if I would say there's implementation work. There might be like a very work in progress branch somewhere. But I don't think there's a proper implementation of it sitting somewhere.
Oh yeah, not proper. But I had thought that a few days of work had already started into it about a month ago or 2 months ago. And then we ended up doing other things instead. Odysseus, am I wrong?
Odie, you're
Odysseus,
muted.
is Odysseus still here?
Yes, I'm here. I was muted. No, shared masternodes. Yeah, I mean, I really started a really draft branch, and then I got information from research team that there are some stuff that needs to be clarified first, and then I continued with the high performance masternodes instead.
Yeah, there are still some conceptual discussions and figuring out how exactly the system should operate that needs to happen first as well.
All right. So that's it. That was the questions. Thank you very much for joining today for the development update, and see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
One test left.